In this video, we are going to teach you everything you need to know to build and lift the Great Wall. This video is brought to you by Huber Engineered Woods, the makers of Zip System and Advantech. Let's get into it. And we're back. So we blew this thing off and it was just saturated. It had rained just before we got here. So went out and got that stuff, got a bunch of computer work done. We are back to snap lines. 107. We got back a little while ago, but I had the trailer and I was convinced that I could make it up the driveway. Not a chance. So Kyle boomed everything off. I got up real proud. Then I Austin powered it. And then I went over the hill. We should have filmed it. It worked out perfect. Kyle just picked up the trailer, half the trailer, and then he like backed out as I pulled forward. You can see the tire tracks, and we got out. That only took a couple minutes, but oh man. My dad taught me well how to get stuff stuck. Anyway, here we go. Here we go. So even though we did this on footings, on walls, on mud sill, now we're doing it on the floor. This line of the house, 56 feet or whatever it is like where the roof goes up. So we want this to be just dead straight. And then we'll check it for floor. We'll check it for floor. We'll check the floor for square. Look at that crow's foot. Oh, I mean, that's 5 and 6, 5 and 3/8.
Yeah, 5 and 6.
Good job, guys. High fives all the way around. It is a gorgeous day. So we just snapped out the big rake wall. It was 44 feet from here down. Let me just show you how we did that. Here's what we got. We are 2 stories high. So first floor, floor system, second floor, plus heel stand of the rafter. That is the top of our roof deck. And then from basically like this point out, so representing this wall height, it'll straighten out. And then right here, we have another gable. Anyway, that doesn't matter. So we story poled it, laid it out, did the math. That is the roof sheathing point. So top of rafter there. So that's 2 stories high. On this end, this whole area here is vaulted. So this is the first floor wall height. So they're 104 and 5/8 studs. So it's 109 and 1/8 plus our rafter heel stand. Again, the short point there is our roof sheathing. I like to frame the rake walls to the top of the rafter plane. Okay, then we have 16 foot to our 2-story wall here, and I need that and the height in order to calculate our roof slope. So we are 1 wall height, floor system, upper floor wall height, and that establishes right here the top of the second floor walls, standard height walls, and there's the heel stand of the rafter. So then all I did from this point was swing and arc the rafter length, swing and arc from that point, swing and arc. When we did all of the math and checked, we were within 3/16 of the full height, which now I forgot what the full height was. 300 inches, something like that. Snap here, snap there. We always measure 3 1/8 parallel, so this line is actually top of stud, underside of double top plate. And so that back roof plane is going to come all the way up, and here's the peak. We're also going to have a wall that has a big rake wall and tapers down on this side. So anyway, we're still a little constrained by the LVL studs, but we have enough of them. This just lets me lay out bottom plates. Originally what our plan was to just frame all the walls and then start stacking them like Legos or putting them together like a puzzle. But now I think what we're going to do, just because of schedules and materials, we probably will frame and lift this wall, brace it really well, and then that gives us a lot of room, because you can see this is going to take up this entire deck all the way all the way to here and down, and then the back is another rake wall. So anyway, I got a phone call. Hey, top of the morning to you, everybody. So look at what we got. It showed up way later than it needed to, but also 2 days earlier than we expected it to. So try that one on for size. These are 18-foot 2x6 Roseburg LVL studs, because we got a bunch of, oh nice, right, sneaking it right underneath that. LVL studs, 18 footers for our tall walls, and then this pile over here are 24 footers for the tall walls. So guess what we're doing? You guessed it, we're building tall walls. And Brandon's over there blowing off the floor to get a dry spot. We got to snap some lines for that section. It basically mirrors, I think I said that yesterday. It mirrors the other side, but it is a gravy wall. No openings, all studs. We are recording. So everything will be to the black line that's the bottom plate. Because I have a story to tell you about that. Okay, 218 and 7/8. I don't know what that other mark is. 218 and 7/8. Then let's go, Brandon, and let's snap that line. It should be right on the front. Yes, blue. Good call. Good call. This is the top of our double top plates upstairs. And I'll pull it real tight, or you can. Like it? Yep. Okay. I'm going to measure from the outside of our story pole. So this is the span of the upstairs roof. 238 and a half. Okay. I got crayon. (13 and 11/16) was our height for the rafter. So 13 and 11. And I'll show you how we do this. Since that's right on the groove, we'll see how this works. So we have 238 and a half. We want to divide that by 2. That is the run of our upper rafter. So 29.78 pitch. Our diagonal is 137 and 3/8. 137 and 3/8. So 13 and 11/16. And I came over 5.5 because our seam is in the way, and I tacked the nail. So what I'm going to do, if you just film just that for now, 137.6. Look at this wide stance. Okay, I'm going to go farther because Murphy's Law. Okay, 137.6. So that is the center of the upstairs peak. And if we wanted to double check that, I'm sure we're going to be off just a hair. If you hook me on 5.5, our run was 119 and a quarter. Burn 5.5. Yeah, I was like, no. All right, so we are an 1/8 off. I call that a win. Yeah. Okay.
So what was this number? How did you get this one?
That was, we're measuring the outside to that one. Okay. And then it's divided by 2. Okay. And I went ahead and just calculated diagonals. Yeah. Swing an arc, swing an arc.
So this was the original 238 and a half divided by 2 number.
Correct. Exactly. 119 and a quarter, and we're like 119.6. That's pencil thicknesses. So now what we want to do is with blue, then you're going to hold your chalk line right to the heel. I'm going to shoot up past. Then we're going to go to the other one. Then we're going to go 3 1/8 down. And we'll just do each of those in steps. Yeah, so we're just snapping the skeleton in its entirety. Okay. Then we'll make adjustments for whatever our framing material is. Okay. Like, I don't even know if those LVL studs are 1.5 inches or 1 5/8. And I always go long. You like it? Okay. And then actually, Brandon, we're going to snap this. And you got the mark? Yeah. Okay. Good. You're good. Then what we're going to do is we're going to do the same thing, but you're going to go all the way to that guy.
The short point of that?
Yep. 3 1/8. Parallel. And if you want to do the same over there, this is the underside of our top plates. Hey, we should do an Alanis Morissette day. Okay, so it detects, and I don't know how, it detects that there's an aircraft up there. I have no idea how it does it. So we'll go here to halfway. I'm good. Okay. I do want to get hairspray and spray those. Yeah. Yeah, see, there's the airplane. You got it? And I can pull tight if you need. You like it? Okay. 238 and a half divided by 2. 119 and a quarter. Because this is the center of our peak. 119 and a quarter. You know, lately I keep waking up to songs, and while I'm setting up the coffee maker, I just about go nuts. Like, why is this song in my head, and why am I like mentally singing it?
Hey Mickey, you're so fine. That song we did.
No, I never seen that one. Nikki's name is Nikki, so I never say. People always used to say though, when she introduced herself and Scout at the dog park, they're like, "Did you say Mickey and Gout?" She's like, "No, Nikki and Scout." And this just kept happening. Yeah, so basically what I'm doing, once we already know where center is. If I mark, you know, if it's 6, if I go 3 each way, top and bottom, this is our column. Then theoretically we could, once we know some other layout, we could use that as the reference point. It's our longest point. I used to snap everything out, every stud. By the time I got done snapping out, I was exhausted because you're just bent over. And then we'd blow off the floor and you'd see this cloud of just like blue. The line stayed, but all that excess chalk from the box just coats everything. Okay, so we'll call it 5.5. So that's 2 3/4 each way. 1, 2 3/4. 1, 2 3/4. So I'm gonna go 2 3/4 and 5.5. And what I'm doing, this is the dead center of the wall, and then each side of that column. We're gonna bring the column all the way up. Now I have that song stuck in my head. I'm like, hey,
That was my point.
hey, Mickey. Sorry, dude. Because I don't want to let it touch at all.
Oh, I see. Okay. All right.
Like it?
Yep.
I'm going to double snap. Yeah, it might be worth putting some more chalk in. It's a little faded here.
Okay.
Hey, Mickey, you're so fine. You're so fine. You blow my mind. Hey, Mickey. Giddy up?
Yep.
Okay. And you know what? It might be worth re-snapping this one once we re-chalk the line. Because this now we have our skeleton. This is really the reference point because it's our biggest. Because some of these we might actually snap our long ones, or at least the king stud trimmers. It's easier, and then you can block out from there. Yeah. Okay. Giddy up, dude. Hey, look at that little bumblebee. 5.5 on my 5.5. Oh, first shot. There we go. Want to know why we take so much time on that process? Because the stakes are huge. We're building a 44 foot by, what was it, almost 25 feet to the peak. We do not want to get it wrong. Next step would be laying out the bottom plates. Pick plates that are pretty enough. We're going to pull those straight to the line. But once all of your layout's done, that is studs, point loads, windows, columns, etc. Then we go ahead and we tack the plate to the line. And we're driving nails at about 45 degrees on the stud side of the wall. The plate itself is on the stud side of the wall so that when it rotates up and down, you can see it better there. Notice that it's to the left of the line. This process requires your feet, your legs, and both hands. You'll see that. I have to lean that with my leg. I'm using the nail gun with my left or non-dominant hand because I swing my hammer with my dominant hand, my right hand. So as you work your way down, you're just like the tool drummer. Again, Danny Carey reference. I mean, he makes it look so easy. All right, underside. Bottom plate is tacked. Now we are tacking the top plate. Notice the bevel cuts. We're going to bring those right together. What we decided last minute was to go ahead and use some of the LVL for top plates. This was going to be a test. I wanted to see how much stiffer this is. And spoilers, this wall was insanely stiff. I think I'm going to start ordering LVL studs just for top plates. Maybe if the top plates are over 16 foot. This one section is, I think, 30 or 31 feet, somewhere there in round numbers. I think 30 feet. The section behind me was a little shorter, but we just decided to go for it. And I have no regrets now after the fact. So you can see the cut is a little open. Well, that's because that 24-foot plate just needs to get kicked down the line. This is framing. You're not going to have miters that are as tight as you would around door trim. That's just the way it is. Like that one P. Diddy song. What I try to do in this step is I try to look and see just based on the lines on the floor or the dots on the floor as the case might be, and I try not to put a nail where I know there's going to be framing. And I'm going to put a nail at least in one spot where there's framing. But I tried. Okay, I'll run mine. Yeah, see, the hard part I have is that you could measure up all this. You could draw it in SketchUp. The problem is, even if you cut like you're a CNC machine, we're fighting some twist cups. If the saw isn't perfect, because it won't be, then I just feel like it's worth taking the step of measuring these all in. Especially together, it helps us all visualize it.
Okay, our first one is 15 and 13.
Smooth move, dude. Because people don't understand that the horizontal number with the math becomes a diagonal number. As long as everything's square, then this should stay parallel to the end. Okay. But by showing it, then people are like, oh, okay, Kyle's measuring this much, and that good-looking guy in the white pants, he's measuring this other one. 18 and 3/16. Yep. Long point, and that's a king?
King, yes.
Okay.
Do I do the cripples?
Sure.
24-12.
Okay, I'm gonna guess 28.9.
28 and a half.
Oh!
Pretty close.
I'm just showing off. Everything else will be way off. 57.
And 11.
Okay, I'm gonna say 56.9.
56 and an 8.
Okay. Even if I got it right, you're gonna lie.
56 and a half.
So we're laying everything out to the long point because it's easier to cut that way. 65.2. And of course, and so that's a king?
King, yes.
Okay, and I put a nail right on it like an idiot.
72-12.
83 and 13.
Ooh, I was close. That's a stud?
Stud.
Okay.
96-12. 120 and 11.
139 and 1.
Oh, I was close.
That's just a stud as well.
I'm just gonna keep saying that. And that's a stud?
Yep.
So if I go, Kyle, if we both reverse and go off of this back side of the glue lamb post, since we snapped that all parallel and square.
22 and a half.
25 and 15. 25 and 15.
25-15. Okay. Double king. Okay.
19 and 11.
22 and 11.
Probably didn't have to double that king then with it so close, but better safe than sorry.
13 and an 8.
15 2. 15 and 2.
1, 5, 15, and 2, and that's a king?
That's a king, correct.
Okay.
21-4.
24 and a half.
Stud?
Stud.
Stud.
Yeah.
Stud.
107 and 7.
Oh, the end. 107.7. Stud. Okay. First one is a king stud. That is 10'7". This guy would be 12'6" and 1/8", and that was a king. Yep. Then 13'3" and 5/16" is stud. 14'5" and 3" is a stud. 15'6" and 13" is a stud. This will be a king. 16'7" and 1/4. 23'10" and 3/4.
Got it.
Okay. And then we skip to the next king. And that would be 21'4" and 7/8". In case you're wondering what a king stud is, that's the long stud on either side of a window. It's a full height stud. And then trimmer or jack studs are what go under a window header. We went ahead and we snapped out all of our king studs. That's going to help us keep things straight. And to help keep the wall stiff during lift, we went ahead and doubled up most of the king studs. Why are we writing in feet and inches? It's just so I know which pile of lumber to grab material out of that minimizes waste. The bigger reason, though, is that this makes it much easier to calculate the weight. Doug fir is typically about 2 pounds per foot. I can just round this up to the nearest foot and then multiply, and we can get the weights of our walls with very little fanfare because we kept our list. Right on the Advantech logo. Incidentally, you might be wondering, how is it that we could trust all of that? Well, remember, right in that corner where I'm at, where my right foot's at, remember, that was our reference this entire job. We set up the laser, so that laser not only squared the whole house, but it squared this section of the floor. Wait, we don't really have enough hose anymore. There's a little better look. So on the right-hand side, that king stud went full length. On this left-hand side, I am nailing the trimmer or jack stud to the king stud. Now, I have a different way of doing this. Some people want to do this all in sawhorses. They do things with it all sideways. I lay it flat so I can use my considerable weight to hold everything nice and flat. And on a couple of these, you're going to see that the trimmer had some curl to it. We're using up scrap 6x. This rake wall does not need a header, but we just get kind of sick of arguing with inspectors, and so we just put them in. I remember having to take one out, and I was like, really? Okay, it was just quicker to take it out than to have our engineer write a letter. Okay, and we snapped the one point of all these kings, right? Okay, and that is going to flip up, and the king, am I doing this right? Yes. Yeah, so not particularly pretty, right, that trimmer? Basically, that trimmer or jack stud probably came out of a 16-footer cut in half, and still, that's just the nature of it. We're reserving the LVL studs for the important tall stuff. They are more expensive, so there's no point in using them for everything. Just use them where it matters, and that's basically why we chose to do it in this case. And full disclosure, I asked Roseburg, are you willing to partner with us on this? We've got big, tall walls. We're going to balloon frame everything. And specifically, Roseburg said, that's good, because LVL studs, they're straight, there's a lot of advantages, but they're very expensive, so we try to use them where they count. And that's what we're showing here. Big, tall wall, we're saving so much efficiency by building the wall flat that we're going to spend some of that efficiency on better materials. That's going to mean less bracing, the wall's going to be flat. In fact, I'll show you once it's all framed that we slid the level all the way across the floor. Just nice and flat. The side effect or side effects are things like my cell phone coverage improved when I got the vaccine. That's just to trigger some of you. Where was I? Something about studs. Oh, the side benefit is a lot stiffer. The wall stayed plumb. We know it's going to be stiffer in the wind too, but it was just a whole lot stiffer when we lifted it. I can't wait to show you that. This lift went so well. Okay, straighten out the king. Yeah, I'm glad we snapped those. Okay. Okay, so double, gotta flop up like that. Let's address the white elephant in the room, the white T1 pants. I got a pair of those for Noah and me a year ago. He was in an 80s phase. Those are the truer T1s. Really good. Okay, so what I want to show in this clip is the same thing I was just saying. I'm using the nail gun left-handed. I keep the hammer in my right hand. And the hammer is kind of constantly moving things flush as needed, like right there. We start at the bottom and we work our way up. And I do this in increments, working my way up the wall. But that hammer, besides moving things straight, it's also pulling the hose out of the way. And then by me standing on it, when I pound on it with my hammer, it doesn't bounce back. My weight will hold it in place. So I find that it's easier to do this in like 4 or 5 foot increments, go back and then nail back up. If you just work it as you go, you actually create more work than if you jump ahead and you get it flush. And so yes, these are LVL studs, they're perfect, but everything gets squirrely and you just have to learn how to deal with it. Okay, so that's gonna flip that way. How many times do you think I have nailed the trimmer on the wrong side? Sometimes I just leave it because I don't want to pull all the nails. That's why I talk to myself. So same principle, I want everything to be flush on the drywall side. The wall sheathing and siding is going to cover any discrepancies that would be facing up or facing the sky in this case. So there, I got it correct. Come on. Come on. Some of you are experienced framers and you're thinking, well, now you have a double king stud. How are you supposed to connect it? Wow, I just answered it for you. By the way, that was the cutoff from that glue lamb post. Always order everything just a little bit long, and then half the time they give you the extra length anyway. Those are 5-inch Simpson Strong Tie SDWS timber screws. And do I keep the impact on me full time? No, I do not. But when I know it's coming, I always have the screws in my bags, at least like 3 or 4. But we just keep the impactor close by. You can see it there in the background because I know I'm going to need it again. Okay. I'm going to put it that way. Some of the cheapskates amongst you, the viewership, are thinking, wow, that's way too many nails. Well, don't forget, this is a 2-story wall that we're going to lift. Okay, so if you watch the videos from the beginning, you remember that we're heading for net zero energy ready. That's part of the reason why we're framing 24 on center. And in this case, you see an 1.75" by 9.5" or 9.25" LVL. That is more than stiff enough for the load, and it allows us to put more insulation in. So that's part of like the focus on efficiency. Something I really like about doing it this way is I can order LVL in odd sizes like 11 feet or 13 feet, and it is a whole lot lighter, way lighter to pack 1.75" LVL than it is 4x10 or something similar. And while my preference would have been to nail all this with me standing on it, I had to get the screws through the double king at the header right there. So then I'm going to go ahead and put this trimmer. This trimmer actually goes to a 2nd floor window, but I'll show you that in just a moment. Hello? It is. Oh, I don't know if I can do it today. We're kind of on a time crunch at work. I wish I could. I probably can, but I won't know until probably like 3. Okay, perfect. I sure appreciate it. Yep, have a good one. Bye. Tell your mom to stop calling me at work. Oh. We're getting it, we're getting it. Stay out the way, hose. And this is the 4040. Come on, hose. Just to explain a little further, so what's the point of the 2x6s? Well, that's because the framing is 2x6, so we need backing on the inside for the drywall. And we need it on top and bottom of the header because we still have to frame some little cripple studs on top of the header up to those raked top plates. Okie doke, and that is going to go like that eventually. Those are all correct. Okay, I'm gonna flop these this way. All right, and the trimmer goes that way. Okay. Reload, reload. Look at that big, beautiful beam. Supposed to do that first. All right. Okay. Yeah, criminy. Now who's calling? Hello? With, I'm sorry, who? Oh. Oh, awesome. Are you coming today? Okay, awesome. I sure appreciate it. Tim. Yep. Awesome, thanks. Bye. Nail Gun Depot delivery. All right. All right, all right. Let's start on this side. Let's start on this side. Okay. Pinch it with your ankles. Someday I'm going to be a voice actor. No comment. Nice and tight. I think I missed. I think, ow, that's hot. Okay, is that it for doublers and headers? That guy's nailed. Hey, who put all this stuff right in my way? Oh, that's okay. Now it's in my other way. And that guy's going there. Yeah, I'll just have to get in here and nail those. Are those extra now at this point?
Yeah.
Come on, Timmy. There we go. Hey, look at that. Make sure I did not miss this. Okay, did that out of order. Okay. All right, this guy, I think I'm fighting a lack of straight. Try standing on it as well, and small taps. Oh, is that it? Let me see. I thought I saw it. I probably just messed this up. We'll dry line it.
All right.
Then we'll know when it comes to blocking that we're either are or are not way off.
Not a very good fishing.
I think we're pretty good, man. I might bump this just a hair. That looks good. I was taught always cut your headers just a hair short because we used to use 6x. Okay. So I gotta do that guy. Hey, stay in my bags. Got to get this hook tightened up, I think. Oh, come on. That's good. Okay, so I think I'm nailed. We decided to take this step. See, we're gonna lift the wall. There's the potential for the plates to hinge. This actually hasn't happened to us, but in the interest of safety, a couple years back, we decided to start using the strong tie SDWC truss in rafter screw. So this screw is designed by being fully threaded. It is designed to hold our rafters or trusses down. And it's essentially, it's not exactly, but it's essentially the equivalent of those littler hurricane clips. That's the purpose. Well, by going ahead and adding a couple to the studs on either side of the rigging points, it just gives us peace of mind about that connection. Now, when we go to actually build the overhangs and sheet the wall, I'll show you that when we nail the sheathing, we nail it 6 inches on center to both of those plates. And that helps keep everything tight. And we've been doing it this way now for about 15 years. Never even come close, no tearing, no sound of creaking. It's very strong. You notice the little shackle there? Thanks, Ben Morton. This works really, really well. I do not recommend it. If you choose to do something like this, you are taking the liability. This is not my recommendation. There, I'm covered legally. All right, here we go. The drone is up. That means we have to hurry because we only have about 30 minutes flight time. You're good there. I look good here.
I look good there.
There are some things to know when you sheathe the wall before you lift it. Notice that I'm standing on the panel as I'm tacking it. I never want to tack edges and leave the middle loose because that can actually create tension in the panel. Kyle and I are going to work on making sure everything is nailed where we want it to be. Brandon's going to go ahead and tack the panels. Now, you're going to notice already, I don't know what we did, but we got that one stud off, and of course it lands on a panel edge. Murphy's Law, again. Another point I want to make is that by standing on it and tacking it throughout the board, that's going to be at headers, sills, all four corners, and then usually to studs somewhere in the middle. What that allows us to do is keep the panel nice and flat, not just get rid of any bubble, but also keep the panel flat as we're nailing. We want that panel tight to the stud because it's the panel's rigidity transferred through the nailing that protects us in an earthquake or high winds. Look decent. And we got a window here. Notice how I marked the hole for the router. How do you look?
I could comb a hair my way at the bottom. That's splitting my stud.
Okay, I look pretty good up here. And then that window. Again, it's not rocket surgery, but by Kyle and I working together and communicating, we're making sure that if panels need to be adjusted here or there, whatever the case, if you're a framer, you know, there's always little bits of adjustment. If you're a homeowner getting ready to build, you just got to be looking at every single thing as you go, but it becomes second nature and it doesn't slow you down. Coming at you, Brandon. Sorry. It kind of worked. I love that thing, man. That thing is so cool. I really need to learn the moonwalk. And time to change things up a little bit. Kyle and I are going to keep working together. We're going to pack the sheathing, and then we're going to go ahead. Once we get most of it packed, then that's pack and then tack. I mean, it's kind of dumb, but that's what we always say. You got to pack all the sheets and then tack them all. That lets Brandon get a start. Frankly, Brandon will be the slowest as the nailer because it's a big wall and it's a lot of nails. And we can't tape the seams until it's all nailed and blown off. And in this case, I was able to get permission to take pictures and video so that we could do a remote shear inspection.
Yep.
We could pop those nails and try to beat it over a little.
It's that same stud we did in this one. Remember how we had like barely any?
What if I pull the sheet up, if you just beat that over a little? Like it? Probably have to land that here in a minute.
Yeah, that's a lot.
I'm used to being chased, man.
By men?
By dudes. Okay, so I'm going to get a lot of flack for this. We are railroading the seams. What does that mean? Well, notice that the first row of sheathing and the second row of sheathing are aligned, meaning the 8-foot edge just runs all the way through. That's what's called railroading. Well, isn't that a problem? No, it is not a problem because technically this entire wall doesn't have to be sheathed to meet the earthquake standards here. We get a lot of benefits by fully sheathing them, and so ultimately it's more cost effective to do it that way. So the reason I mention that is this wall is then technically over-designed by quite a bit. Our engineer said, don't worry about it. The APA notes show, and what is that? The special design provisions for wind and seismic. That's a NDS reference, I believe. Go to the American Wood Council and go ahead and download it. It's free and you could read it. It is true that staggering seams, which would mean that every other panel would stagger up or down, not every other row, although that's true as well. But technically, you would be offsetting the center of the panels. That will deflect about 25% less in the way that we're doing it. So the way I think about that is, if I deflect 1/4 inch, you would deflect 3/16. Again, as Jerry Seinfeld said, the difference is quite negligible. What Tor Madison, structural engineer, says in his book is that instead of staggering panels and going through that rigmarole, you can either tighten up the edge nailing or you could use a little bit bigger nail. So what we elect to do is just make up for the differences with nailing, because there's really no additional labor that way. And then when it comes to taping the seams and everything else, well, once we know that first row is good, it's going to align with everything that we want it to align with, well, then the second and third rows do the same. Sometimes you'll see us staggering panels, alternating rows. To me, it's all what works best for the sheathing, since I know that we're way stronger than we need to be. And not to mention, this is one unit. This is not a first floor wall, a second floor wall, and a gable wall. This entire thing, like, there's no first floor that's sheathed, then floor, then upper wall, and then gable truss. This is one single entity at this point. So instead of arguing over like what essentially would amount to 16ths or millimeters, just get to work. We have been routing walls since 2001. I know because that's the house that the Twin Towers came down. That was the very first house we had used a router. On big walls like this, we try to adjust the sheets in such a way that the cutoff can be used for the next piece, quote unquote, downhill, and then just route the top off again. When we're done with this, we have a very small amount of waste. A clean job site is a safe job site. That dust actually does get pretty slick, even with really nice NYX handmade boots like I'm wearing right there. That's right, those are the Wood Butchers. Like 8 months in, oh man, I absolutely love those boots.
The wind's blowing that way, so watch your eyes.
I will let you in on one of my pet peeves. One of my pet peeves is when you cut out the window holes and you leave the sheets there and you don't blow out the dust. Because inevitably you gotta go running across when you go to brace the wall, and then you slip on that stuff. So I blow out the wall cavities, just get as much dust off of there. We need to do that in order to tape the wall anyway, but this is just a whole lot safer. Kyle and I went ahead and snapped the trimmers all the way to the top and bottom. That also needs the same nail spacing as any other edge nailing. That's called boundary nailing. So that trimmer stud, all the way down where Kyle's at, all the way up to me, that has to be nailed 6 inches on center is what our engineer calls out for edge nailing. So that's got to be nailed 6 inches on center as well.
All right, 137 and 24 seconds. So you can see we got the big wall sheaths. Brandon's just nailing it off. We're gonna go through and do a QA before we do any taping. Then we're gonna tape all of our seams. Something you probably noticed right off the bat is that we hung all of our sheathing vertically and we did not stagger the seams. It doesn't matter because all of our panel edges are blocked. The strength axis that you see stamped on the backside of panels does not apply to shear walls. It applies to subfloor and roofing. Roof sheathing, I should say.
For those unfamiliar with what Zip System is, it is a Structural One OSB panel that has the weather-resistive barrier integrated into it at the very start of manufacturing. I've seen it in person at the mill. That means that we can tape the seams, and that would be the equivalent of installing house wrap, except with a whole lot less labor, and we're airtight. When you do it though, you should start from the bottom up to the top of the panel, then run the seam left to right, then from that up to the next seam, left to right, etc. We ran them all the way up. Do as I say, not as I do. Make sure you follow the instructions. Will there be an issue? No. But follow the manufacturer's instructions. Don't be like us.
Air high five. All right, we did it. These guys are rock stars. You can tell with rhythm like that. So it started to sprinkle on us right as we got the tape down, but the tape is down. And then of course, that came right back out, dried off the panel. So we're calling it a day. Let's get out of here. Nice job, guys.
Hey, happy Thursday. So of course we have wet weather. Here's what we're driving into. Trying to keep people out. Seriously, don't enter. So, because of that, Brandon is driving my Sprinter van so that we can get everything put away. Things we never put away, we're putting away now because people keep getting up here and stealing from us. That's such as life. It just means I get to drive the Subaru, which I do not mind. Kind of like driving a smaller vehicle for a change. I like the Sprinter. Sprinter's just been outstanding, but hey, there's the wall. We're gonna do this thing today. Okay, happy Thursday, everybody. So I am super glad that we got that wall framed and sheeted and taped yesterday, because now it's just gonna lightly rain all day today and tomorrow. It's of no consequence to us. We're very tough. Next order of operation is build the overhangs, and for that we use 12-inch LP soffit board, smart side soffit. They're coming 16-foot lengths. I shorted us, I only have 2 pieces left. So Brandon's picking up some soffit board from the lumber yard. Classic short guy shorted us. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna center a 16-footer on this, make it act like a beam, and then we'll piece in on either side. That way the middle of the wall has, I think I'm saying that right, like a strong back. Then over here, we're gonna go horizontal soffits, finish this soffit. I-joist there is gonna be screwed to the wall, because basically that transition there is like a hinge joint. And we'll probably screw an LVL because we've got our floor system already here. Get this entire thing to act like one unit.
If you hold me to the tip, Kyle. If you cut one sharp to sharp, so plumb and seat, let's go 11 foot. Okay. Yeah. And then if you just cut 2 square to square at 13 foot for here.
Think of the house as just a series of components that are put together. Well, that's basically what this rake wall is, right? It's studs that are nailed to top and bottom plates, then it's fully sheathed. That gives it a certain kind of strength. Now with the overhangs, the nails that I'm putting in right now, and I'm putting a lot of them, that helps to keep that overhang where we want it to be. Similarly, with these little blocks, I'm going to toenail on both sides. Again, the toenails will help to keep that in place. I like to think of this as irreducible complexity. Maybe you've read about that. For example, the human eye. If we take out any of those components, the eye does not function properly. Almost as though it was designed. Well, this wall is not the human eye. I mean, it's just not. But if we take the time with each section, I was telling our engineer, he came out for a site visit last week, that my approach to it really is like the irreducible complexity. You try to think, at its smallest, is it contributing? If it doesn't, let's get rid of it. So that's why I'm just eyeballing the blocks roughly every 4 feet, because we don't need 1,000 blocks. The blocks are basically just spacers. It's going to be the soffit board, that 12-inch by 16 foot. When I nail that, think of that like a shear panel. That's going to help keep this overhang nice and stiff. Now don't forget, we already double top plated right to the top of the rafter plane, and those are LVL top plates. Well, when you see this wall go up, I hope you're as shocked as I was. I mean, it was like way stiffer than any other wall that we've done.
All right, 17 inches.
Down, girl. I'll take a piece of that soffit board. Deeper than I've ever dreamed of. Ooh, check it out. Rolling the windows down. Rolling them up. I don't roll up very well. I think we go centered on the pick point.
Okay.
What do you think?
Splitting your velocity. Might be kind of cool. It doesn't work.
I just eyeballed them. I think that, or do you think we should maybe bias it downhill a little bit? Because that's going to be the side that droops.
Yeah. Maybe like start of that block. There's even more, huh?
That's what I'm wondering. Should we go from that lower block?
I feel like that's like splitting the wall.
See, Mariah Carey didn't need auto-tune. Yeah, I'll take care of this. I'll tack it and get you a number for the upper.
And speaking of the LP soffit, by the way, not sponsored, but we've been using this stuff for probably 15 years, maybe more, I don't know. Basically what we're doing is like we're building a shear wall, but now perpendicular to our wall. So that's 12 inches wide, 16 foot long. We're gonna do this the entire way up and down, and I'm gonna nail that 6 inches on center across the top and across the bottom. That is going to really stiffen up the wall. It's not gonna get rid of all sag or anything, but it's gonna provide a lot of stiffness. What's really great about doing it at this stage is that once the eaves are up, they are nice and straight. That's a piece of 5/4 by 8. That's going to be our barge board, or fly rafters is what we call them. We're gonna go ahead and install them after the soffit's in. That way we can lean in with the gun and nothing's in our way.
All right, so here's how we connect up the rake wall at the top. A little TP37 by a strong tie. And nothing special about this, not a structural connection. So some siding nails are low profile. What that does is that keeps these joints from opening when we lift the wall. The rest of this will stay. There's no point in strapping over the top because we want to nail our roof sheathing to that. And these little guys are just like 70 cents a piece. Forever. Okay, this is our rafter plane. I want 1/2 inch for sheeting and 1.5 inch minimum off the roofing. Right now, well, it's hard to see. Right now I'm about 3. I would be okay with that. I would prime that, except it's raining. We will prime it later. Tack it on one end. Okay, flush it up here. And I'm gonna flush it up on the back side. Can you kick that side flush, Kyle? That way the angle doesn't move on us. Yeah, perfect. I'm smooth on the back side, smooth. We're just gonna scribe this. You're the only one. Name that movie. Give you a hint, Jeff Bridges. And it ain't the Big Lebowski. Against all odds. All right.
Then we're just gonna go ahead and work it from top to bottom, make sure it's flush on the top. 2 nails every 12 inches all the way down.
I'm gonna aim for probably a studly. Okay, that's a little high, which is good. I love you. And these are where they go. Probably don't even need them. Whitney Houston. Wow, I realized.
Same.
Yeah, like the 80s, late 80s.
Yeah.
It's the old Warm 106.9 and Delilah. Yeah, we almost built for her. She's a. Can you pull that way a little? Oh yeah. Okay. So it's, yeah, it's just like a 16th high. But I could try to do, what do I want to do? I don't think we could get that. Okay, so let me quickly show you the last thing we're doing on this wall. Ignore that. We're going to grab a longer one. This eye joist is going to be a strong back to come across this, since we have a bit of a hinge joint here. But we're going to go ahead and frame our soffits now. This is just, since we're using eye joist and no bird's mouth for at least part of the roof, our heel stand or height above plate is 13 and 11/16. So to figure out all of this stuff, I just tack it to the wall. If it had a bird's mouth, I would do the same. Now we've already drawn this out, but this all just helps me visualize, is I always hold this guy back. This guy is about maybe 2.5 inches off of the deck there. And then, what else was I gonna say? Then once this roof is gonna frame over, once that's all finished and sheeted, then the roofers will do their thing. We'll even leave off the sheet from the top so that the roofers can do their job. And then when we side, we'll add that last piece of soffit. So that rip of zip was ripped to the same width as the eye joist. And all that did was help us to locate where that fly rafter or barge board needed to terminate. Now I had already drawn this out. We had drawn it on site. I had already drawn it in SketchUp to show how far down our soffits needed to be for the horizontal. That's 16-inch LP vented soffit. It's the same detail that you saw earlier in the garage video where that all fit together. This one, of course, just a horizontal. When we go to do the front rake wall, well, that one's got to tie into this one, just like the garage wall is tied into the other one. This doesn't really add any stiffness, it's just a little too short. We are going to use that eye joist that's behind me. We're going to screw that to the wall and stiffen things up. And let's go. It is time to lift this wall. Spoilers, it just went as well as it could possibly go. I would have shown you either way. We're using the big 30-foot strap because it will self-adjust. Our rigging points are not level. Generally, you want them to be level. So yeah, I think, Brandon, what we'll do is we'll put a little tension on and then we'll kind of pop it loose. And I can already tell this strap is way longer. Just gonna get them past the overhang a little. Go up just a little bit. Oh yeah, that's heavy. Okay, I want to get out maybe on this side. Not bad, dude. I just want to take a quick look at it. I want to definitely stay out of the way, but let's pound those nails.
Yeah.
I'm just looking at the rigging points. Boy, everything looks nice and tight. All right, so we're going to knock the nails out of the top plates. That's what tacked us to the lines. Obviously, staying out of the way of the water. That's the line. And this guy looks good. Those points all look good. He's got the screws in that. So the only spot that's really sagging, of course, is where we strong backed it. So far so good. And the chafe guard stayed.
Good, yeah, no problem.
Go a little slower. A little slower. I just don't want to gain momentum. Lean that way just a little bit. I want to keep that corner down.
All the toenails are caught already, dude.
Now we're flatter. How far out are you? Okay. How far out of level are you? Okay. Just nice and slow. Nice and slow. Nice and slow. Ain't moving. No, boom in. Yeah, it's not moving. There you go. Now real slow, because it's gonna, I hate this part. Okay. It always gets scary in the machine when you're the guy looking at it. It's gonna look like it wants to come back on you, but we're still like 3 or 4 feet out of level that way, or out of plumb. I'm trying to get the where it's attached with the forks right where we need to be. So I think I'm gonna boom in just a little bit more. Nope, it turns out we just need to go a little higher, not boom in. Man, we are like right there. Go real slow. I just don't know if we could push it. I feel like we could get that. I think we could push it. Yeah, I say kill it. Okay. There we go.
Stayed pretty stiff, huh?
Yeah. Okay, we're right on 4 there. Oh. Oh. Wow, that was really moving. That moved a foot.
Hey, look, I think you're good. 4 to 6 feet, perfect.
Okay, let me
Gonna come to me about 1.5 inches.
oh, that's not bad.
Right on.
Water down my shirt.
Oh, yeah, right? Every time. I do like the Shelly Hansen for that reason. Four and 3/8 right now. 4, right there. I'm at 1.25 inches, so this goes towards me quite a lot. They're at 2.5.
Hey, Brandon. Yeah, I'll have you screw this in because I'm putting a lot of tension on it.
I think it's because you got tension on.
Yeah, it probably could have boomed down, but
Yeah, boom, in a little bit.
You don't want me pushing because I'm stronger?
Oh.
sure, sure. I love the trash talk.
2 inches. 3, 3.25, 4.
I mean, I could have done that.
Let off just a hair, but
Nice job, guys.
3,
Oh,
7, 8%.
recording stopped, whatever. Okay, let me get some drone shots. And then we'll take that down.
You should fly it off close to that ridge and scope across and see if they're within reason.
I am getting a little old for this. This might be the last time, but this is a tradition. I wish I could say that this was my idea. I don't even know. But hey, there's 3 happy guys. And there we go. There is the rake wall. Now you can kind of start to see how this is all going to go together. We still have a few more balloon framed walls to get through. But there, now you understand that back right corner by the ladder. That set square for the entire house and that back run. Our roof slopes needed to start based off of that run. And there's our big 30-foot strap with chafe guards. What was nice about that is that even though the pick points aren't quite right in terms of level, we got it to each side of the wall where we felt that it was a good pick. And then the strap essentially slides over those forks with the chafe guard, and it self-levels or self-balances. That's the better way to say it. And you can kind of see it a little bit better there. The strap on the left is much higher uphill, but that was based off of the left side of that wall. We tried to get it farther downhill on the other side to keep that wall stiff. And it worked. It just slides across those chafe guards, put the forks together. Then we're able to use the full capacity of the machine, and bibbity boppity, there the wall goes up. And there we go. The wall is up, done safely. We got a whole lot more on this house. Hit that like and subscribe button. If you would, please leave a comment down below of any kind. And we will see you all in the next video. Thank you for following along. I certainly do appreciate it.